went with that
Everything was
was
perfect.
a good life.
Yeah.
What can you tell us that will help people that will watch your story, who may have gone through the same thing and never been able to talk about their own experience?
Healing is possible.
What's your name?
Tina Shaw.
Tina Shaw?
Yeah.
Thank you, Tina.
My pleasure.
Tell me where you were born.
I was born in Strathroy, Ontario.
Strathmore, Ontario.
Yeah.
What was life like growing up in Strathmore?
So I wasn't there long. We moved around a lot as a kid. My dad was the manager of a bank, so he got transferred a lot. So I was always the new kid, and we always moved.
Was it a good life growing up as you remember?
Not particularly.
Okay.
It should have been. It was supposed to be, but it wasn't. The outside world, it was perfect. I had the perfect childhood, but behind closed doors, it wasn't that great.
So your life to the world around you who knew you and your family and the bank manager and everything that went with that
Everything was perfect.
was a good life.
Yeah.
What can you tell us that will help people that will watch your story, who may have gone through the same thing and never been able to talk about their own experience?
Healing is possible. Healing is possible, and you can become whole.
You went through abuse?
I went through severe abuse from 6 to 8. I buried it, kept outward appearances to look perfect. Little girls should be seen and not heard. We were loved based on our achievements.
Okay.
And I achieved drug addiction.
Okay.
And
Talk about your drug addiction.
I had a 17-year addiction to cocaine.
Okay.
It took me 4 years healing my childhood traumas on my own, just the support of my husband, to get rid of that addiction. And that's when I decided to go to the downtown east side to help others see that healing is possible.
So in Ontario, Strathmore,
Strathroy.
Strathroy.
Yeah.
Is it near Toronto?
I don't even know where it is because I left there when I was 1.
To come to British Columbia?
No. I was raised in Guelph. I didn't come to British Columbia until 12 years ago.
12 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, from 6 to 8 you go through traumatic abuse.
Yeah.
And when did the drug addiction start?
Oh, as soon as I had a little bit of freedom from my parents, I guess the age of 14.
14.
Yeah.
How were you introduced to drugs?
I was introduced to drugs through a friend of mine. I think I was in grade 6, grade 7, and it was the escape I was looking for. It was the numbing escape from all the pain.
Many people in Vancouver, where we are, Greater Vancouver, Surrey, suffer through drug addiction for all kinds of reasons. I don't think if we asked all of them how they started, they ever planned on starting. I don't think any of them were living their life and then got up one day and said, you know what? I want to become a drug addict.
My life aspiration. No, it wasn't that way.
You were in 6th grade and somebody did what or said what to you?
They just said, do you want to come out and we'll go around back and we'll drink some wine, and wine turned into weed, and weed turned into cocaine, and that was the end of the end. The beginning of the end, really. I had been accepted to Juilliard.
Juilliard School?
Yeah. When I was 15 for a dance. And then at 16 I got drunk during a recital and blew my knee, and that ruined my dance career.
So you are living a life of achievement as a child.
Totally.
Suffering from different forms of abuse.
Yeah.
6th grade, you're introduced to alcohol, turns into weed, turns into cocaine. You have the opportunity to go to Juilliard at 15.
Blow it at 16.
All gone because you got high.
Yeah.
Blow your knee.
Yeah.
Cocaine then becomes everything.
Everything. Cocaine became everything. I stripped for the next 17 years to support the $200,000 a year cocaine habit I had.
$200,000 a year. How did you come by that number?
My dealer, actually. My dealer, when I went to detail, told me how much I gave her over the years.
And it worked out to $200,000 a year.
I bought her 3 houses in Colombia.
For how long were you a cocaine drug addict?
17 years.
200,000 every year.
Pretty close.
And you earned the money primarily through stripping, through dancing.
Escorting, stripping.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Just another form of abuse. It was just my body. It's just like a carpenter uses his hands. I just used my body. It was it.
During those years, you were high, stoned most of the time?
Most of the time. I don't even remember most of my 20s.
There were times when you thought suicide?
Plenty of times. Attempted three occasions.
Unsuccessfully?
Unsuccessfully.
Thankfully.
Thankfully.
You have a great smile today.
Thank you.
What else was a part of those 17 years?
I had children that were taken from me.
Okay.
I met my husband. We've been together for 22 years. We just celebrated our 22nd wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
He was the man who actually loved me until I could love myself. I was pretty broken when we met, and he just met all that brokenness with unconditional love. And
How did you meet?
we met at the strip bar.
He was a customer.
No, he was never a customer. He walked in and he looked at me, and the first thing he said is, "I'm going to marry you someday." And I said, "Fat chance in hell, but you can buy me a drink." And I let him chase me for 4 years before we went on our first date. And after 4 years, he would come into the bar about every 6 months when he would get back from wherever he was in the world, and he would ask me out, and I would reject him, and then he would go away, and then he would come back and do it again, and I would reject him, and he did that for 4 years, and finally he said, "I'm not going to give up, so give it a shot." We've been together ever since.
Okay.
And nobody ever listened when you tried to say it's not a choice. It's a compulsion beyond my control. And I didn't want to be an addict. I didn't want to lose my children. I didn't choose drugs over my children like my family always said. It wasn't a choice. It was drugs or death. It was literally drugs or death. I hated myself that much. I lived with such shame. And treatment centers always wanted you to stop the drugs to heal the person, and that's not the way it is. That's never permanent, because the trauma is still there, the triggers are still there, and you will always go back to what you know to numb the pain when the trigger happens. It's just reality. And we were created as people to crave what makes us feel good, and the drugs made me feel good. It was the only thing that made me feel
Took
good.
away
the
pain and helped give you a euphoric kind of a good
It made me
feeling.
feel normal. Like I could go out and I could be in the world, and I wasn't that girl. I wasn't that girl who was broken.
You've written a book.
Yeah, I've written two. Well, I'm on my second book now.
Well, what's the name of the book that's published?
Well, it's not published. It's on the final edit. Before it goes to publishing, it's called Getting High with Jesus.
Getting High with Jesus.
Yes.
Okay.
And my second book is called Beautifully Broken, and it's a book of poetry and prose.
Okay. People can read these now?
I published some of my stuff on my Facebook.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I'm on my final edit for my first book before I go to publish it.
Okay.
And then I'm about halfway through my second book.
Will it be done online, a digital book?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, yeah, it'll be on.
like Amazon or
Yeah.
something like that? So how do people connect with you that want...
My Facebook page
Can you
is
tell
public.
us?
Tina
What-
Shaw.
Tina Shaw.
Yeah, you just look at Tina Shaw, and then
Okay.
if you look up anything under addiction, or I've done a lot of public speaking. I've done a lot of stuff for the opioid crisis. I was the MC for the National Day of Action. I co-created a play called Illicit, an anti-stigma play. So yeah, anything to do with addiction, you can just type in my name, and I'm on YouTube and I'm on Facebook, and it's
Okay.
all public. So
We're gonna put all that in here.
it was tragic. The paramedics were getting so many calls; it was taking them an hour just to get to one call. So I said to my husband, "We have to move to the downtown east side. We have to. We just have to save these people's lives. They don't deserve to die because they're addicted to drugs. That could be me. If I hadn't healed, that would have been me." So I said, we have to do something. So me and my husband moved to the downtown east side, and we together opened up 4 overdose prevention sites for other nonprofits to society.
So let's just pause for a minute. I'm interested in something you said. Your husband came into one of the places you were dancing,
Yeah.
and he wanted to marry you, and
Yeah.
you said, "That's not going to happen, but you can buy me a drink."
Yeah.
When did it change from a customer kind of relationship to something more?
About 4 years after I met him, and he would ask me out for about a week, and reject him for a week, and then he would go away for 6 months and come back and do the same thing all over again. And after 4 years of that, he finally said, I'm not going to give up, so just give it a shot. He said, I'll leave you alone if you go on one date.
I will back off,
Yeah.
but give me this.
Yeah. So I did, and we've been together ever since.
He took you out of there? He helped you get out of there? He helped change your life?
He did. He really did. He was the one, if it wasn't for his love, I never would have realized I deserved it. Because up until then, I wasn't worthy of love. I wasn't worthy of respect or dignity. I was put on this earth to be raped and beaten by men. Because that's all I'd known.
How did you go from the dependencies of drugs and of that lifestyle into a more healthy?
So